Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. This is driving me up the wall, so here I am. I'm in my early 30s, married with one kid. I work full-time from home, which apparently means to my in-laws that I sit around doing absolutely nothing all day. They have never really accepted me, but that's a long, messy background I'll skip. The focus here is my sister-in-law, late 20s, who is pregnant again. She already has one kid and her boyfriend lives with her, father of a baby she's pregnant with. My mother-in-law and father-in-law absolutely baby her. She's the golden child, can do no wrong, always needs help, always struggling. So now she's having bad food nausea, and instead of figuring something out at home, she decided I should be the one making their meals. Yes, she sent me actual meal plans. Vegan meals for herself, kid-friendly packed school lunches for her kid, non-vegan dinners for her boyfriend. So 3 separate sets of meals every single day on top of what I already cook for my own family. Her reasoning is, you work from home, you have the time. I told her no. I flat out said I'm not doing that. She's not living here. I have my own household to run. I already balance work, childcare, and everything else. Cue the drama. Now I'm getting passive-aggressive texts from her about how hard pregnancy is, how family is supposed to step up, how she thought she could count on me. My mother-in-law and father-in-law are acting offended, like I'm selfish. My husband told her to ask her boyfriend to cook. You know, the guy who created this baby with her. But apparently that's unfair because he works. And I don't? I'm so tired of this whole, you work from home so you're basically free mindset. No, I'm not free. I'm working. I'm parenting. I'm managing my own household. I'm not the backup chef for a grown woman and a partner. The entitlement is unreal. Update. Figured I would post a small update because this blew up in the most ridiculous way. So quick recap. I'm in my early 30s, married, with one kid, and I work full-time from home. My sister-in-law, late 20s, is pregnant again and decided I should be cooking daily vegan meals for her, plus separate meals for her non-vegan boyfriend and her kid. All because you work from home, you have time. Obviously, I said no. Fast forward to last night, we had a small family dinner at my mother-in-law's. Everyone brought a dish. I made a pasta salad, labeled it as non-vegan because, well, it had cheese. Sister-in-law finds out there's cheese in it and makes a scene. She stands there in front of everyone saying, "I can't believe you didn't think of me when you made this, especially after everything I'm going through." The room went dead quiet. I just said, "You could have brought your own dish if you were worried." Then she hits me with, "It's just so disappointing when a family doesn't support each other, especially when I'm struggling this much." My husband, who's been done with this, jumps in and says, "You know who else is going through a lot? My wife, who works full-time, raises our kid and still gets dumped with all the family guilt trips." Mother-in-law tried to change the subject, but sister-in-law got teary and left early with her boyfriend, loudly saying she couldn't handle the stress. So yeah, I'm guessing we're now officially the villains in the family group chat. Cool. You're not the a-hole, OP. I'm so happy with how you flat out said no and shut the whole thing down, and I'm so happy that you have a supportive partner too. Your in-laws are entitled and annoying. I can't believe your sister-in-law was entitled enough to tell you to cook for her and her boyfriend. Like you're their personal chef. I understand that she's going through a lot with her pregnancy, but your husband is right. Her boyfriend, the father of a child, should be the one tending to her, not you. You and your husband might be the villain of the family for a while, but don't worry too much about it. Their opinions don't matter anyways. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter-in-law that she is running away from her kids? My son and daughter-in-law have 3 children, 2 3-year-olds and an infant. Daughter-in-law is on maternity leave while my son works full-time. My son is a fantastic father who always puts his children first. But unfortunately, his wife is not the same. I recently came to know that my daughter-in-law leaves the house every single day after my son gets home from work and makes him watch the kids and cook dinner by himself. Then she comes back and eats the dinner my son made for her while she was out. Once in a while is fine. Every work day is not fine. I told my daughter-in-law directly that she is the one staying home, so she should be doing the cooking, cleaning and child rearing, not dumping the kids off on my son at the first convenient moment. My daughter-in-law rolled her eyes at me right in my face and told me this is why I'm divorced. Then she walked away and refused to speak to me and made my son kick me out. Now she will not let my son speak to me for telling it like it is. Am I an a-hole for telling the truth and standing up for my son? You're the a-hole, OP. You're a very big a-hole. You have no right meddling into your son's family and how he and his wife operate and make their relationship work. You should be happy it works, not trying to see what's wrong in what they're doing according to you. They don't need your opinion. And what you're doing isn't standing up for your son, it's villainizing his wife. You said your son is a great father, but his wife is not. Why? Because she lets her husband prepare meals every night while she takes a break? You need to apologize to your daughter-in-law and stay out of their family business. Now for some comments. You're the a-hole, perhaps the biggest a-hole ever to post here. Who are you to decide how many days a week she gets to have a break? Do you have any clue how hard it is to be home all day with 3 small children? Did it ever occur to you that she might be close to having a mental breakdown? And this time away from home is what's keeping her sane. I was barely holding on while home all day with 1 child. You need to apologize to her. You're the a-hole. Not sure how this is your business? And you have no idea what your daughter-in-law is doing. She could be taking a night class, going to the gym, running errands, or just relaxing. If your son is okay with it, why do you care? Have you spent all day with 2 3-year-olds and an infant? That's exhausting. Whatever work your son does, he probably has more downtime during the day to have a coffee or go to the bathroom by himself than your daughter-in-law does. But even if your daughter-in-law is a shrew, that would still be his problem to work out, not yours. If you don't want them to cut you out of their lives, I would apologize, then stay out of it. You're the a-hole. Of course she rolled her eyes at you and had you kicked out. You are a meddling, condescending, ignorant person and you don't deserve any kind of respect from her. Leaving the house for the laughably small amount of time it takes to cook dinner is a perfectly normal thing for a stay-at-home parent to do. And your daughter-in-law is at home with 3 small kids all day, so she presumably is in charge of their breakfast, lunch, and snacks. Your son being responsible for dinner is more than reasonable. These are his children too, and running the household is a 24-hour job. Most importantly though, is the fact that none of this, not a single bit, is any of your damn business. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for pretending to be ignorant about my in-laws' traditional gender role expectations when we stay with them? My husband and I have been happily married for about 3 years. We both live in the US. I, 30 female, am American-born and raised, while my husband, 32 male, is originally from an Asian country. He immigrated to the US for graduate school and he now has permanent residence here. We intend to live in the US for the foreseeable future. Because all of my husband's family is back in his home country, we try to go visit them once every year or 2. I love to travel, so it's mostly a fun and eye-opening experience for me. And I enjoy learning about other cultures, etc. When we go, we stay with his parents, as is customary in their culture, And because they live in a major metropolis where paying for a hotel for 2 weeks would be prohibitively expensive. The problem is that his parents abide by very traditional gender roles, as do most people of their generation in this country. Both his dad and mom had full-time jobs, but his mom was responsible for all the cooking, making 3 meals from scratch every day for the entire household, cleaning and laundry, which also has to be done every day. Even when his dad is retired and his mom was still working, she did 100% of the housework and he did essentially none. That certainly is their choice, and I would never comment on that or look down on their way of life. The issue is that back in the US, my husband and I share all the housework duties pretty much 50-50. We both have the same graduate degree and we both even have the same kind of job at the same exact institution. And we each make pretty much the same salary. This equal sharing of housework is important to us, since we both are very professionally ambitious and want to prioritize our careers. When we are staying with his family in his home country, his parents constantly make comments and jokes and ask questions about me doing the cooking, cleaning, etc. Even though we've explained that we share the responsibilities back home, they can't seem to fathom this. So I feel very pressured to do the cooking, cleaning at their house for them. In their society, when 2 people get married, the couple moves in with the husband's family, and the new wife takes charge of all the household duties so that the mother-in-law can retire from them. Because his parents' English is really rough, my husband often has to translate between us. I generally play the ignorant American and pretend not to understand that they seem to want me to do some of the cooking and cleaning when we're at their house. That's not to say I don't help. I always help clear the dishes after dinner, and I do my own laundry in their house. I basically do slightly more than my husband does, enough to be a polite guest, but definitely not enough to fulfill the expected role of the typical daughter-in-law. So am I the a-hole for pretending not to understand that my in-laws expect me to conform to their traditional idea of a daughter-in-law, which would mean doing the housework when we stay with them? Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. Although they aren't a-holes, your husband is. He should have made it clear to them that you live according to different rules and you won't be taking over the household chores when you visit. He also should have made it explicitly clear to you and you would be expected to do this, instead of what seems to be leaving you to just figure it out from vibes, particularly given the language barrier. Not the a-hole. Your dynamic doesn't make sense to them, just like their dynamic doesn't make sense to you. My great-grandma is from Japan and stays with my boyfriend and I 1 week out of every month, so she can spend time with our son. We love having her, but she makes jokes all the time about how I'm going to be a bad wife because I don't cook enough or clean enough. She also worked full-time and took on all of the household and parenting duties. My grandpa was a very hard-working man and appreciated everything she did, so they were happy with that arrangement. I feel you 100% with this one. No a-holes here, because this takes place in your husband's home country. If this was the US, then it would have been not the a-hole. Given the mention of how expensive the big cities are in my husband's home country, I can narrow it down which part of Asia this is. The reason why I'm saying no a-holes here over not the a-hole is because you're dealing with Asians living in their home country and not the US. Trying to set boundaries while you're only visiting will just lead to more trouble than it's worth. As long as you and your husband don't move to that country, you can keep pretending to be ignorant during your visits. The problem that could happen though is if you two decide to have kids, and his parents decide to move to the US to help take care of your kids.